Tonight, as the dust settles after Oakland Schwader was found, the BCAFN is pushing for a new missing child alert for similar situations in the future. Plus, John Brink has taken the next steps in his plans to purchase several Canfor mills and tenures in northern BC. And we take a look at where we are with drought conditions as we move into the fall season. Good evening, folks. I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. Tonight's top story: in the wake of Oakland Schwader being found after 72 hours missing, the BC Assembly of First Nations is urgently calling for a new child alert system. An Amber Alert was not issued for Oakland, as it does not meet the criteria, the situation that is. So the BCAFN is looking for a new similar system, to an Amber Alert to fill this gap. Tommy Osborne reporting in tonight's top story.
Following the successful search efforts to rescue 6-year-old Oakland Schwader, the BC Assembly of First Nations is calling for a new missing child alert system to notify the community as soon as possible. An Amber Alert was not issued for Oakland, as police say it didn't meet the criteria, so the BCAFN wants to see this new alert implemented.
We're very successful and lucky that the child was found, but in the case of Johnson Redhead in Manitoba, that wasn't the case, where the child succumbed to the elements. So I think it's really important because timing is of the essence.
Among other required criteria, an Amber Alert is issued when police believe the victim has been abducted and is in imminent danger. While an Amber Alert wasn't issued, many other resources were deployed, like the RCMP, search and rescue, helicopters, police service dogs, hundreds of volunteers, and several other resources, all to assist with the search for Oakland. Oakland's search, fortunately, ended in the best-case scenario of bringing her home, but what happens when we don't get the best circumstances?
They handled things beautifully, and they had so many volunteers, and my concern is for our more remote communities all across the country, like how we're not going to get that response.
What exactly would these alerts look like? TG hopes to establish some criteria, like how remote the community is and age of the victim, among others. Making sure these alerts wouldn't be too common is also a concern, as that could desensitize the public into actually taking action. Per missingkids.ca, more than 50,000 children are reported missing each year in Canada, or 137 a day.
That'd be overwhelming, like to hear your phone go off, right? But they could probably pinpoint like a certain area and like just condense the alert.
We don't want to put awareness out there that isn't necessary, and perhaps there's desensitization of some of these issues.
RCMP declined to comment, but provided CKPG News with information regarding Amber Alert criteria and the resources used in Oakland's search. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
Conservative Party of BC candidate for Prince George North Caribou, Sheldon Clare, has issued a statement regarding concerns circulating about some of his past actions. In an opinion article on the Western Standard, Clare says that it's come to his attention that there are concerns circulating about some of his past actions and statements, particularly regarding his personal life and comments he made during the pandemic. Clare says he has been accused of inappropriate behavior, such as forming social connections with former students and owning firearms. He also says some have accused him of harboring attitudes of misogyny or racism. He said in the statement that these accusations are deeply painful because they do not align with who he is or the principles he has lived by for over 3 decades as a college instructor and a historian. The Vanderhoof Chamber of Commerce is expressing some disappointment with their local MLA. The Chamber of Commerce represents businesses within the Nechako Lakes riding, and being that it's the largest community in that riding, it had organized an all-candidates forum to take place on September 25th. MLA John Rustad was invited back in June, but declined to attend.
Very disappointing. I mean, Vanderhoof is a pretty good political town, and I think we should have the opportunity to speak to the people that are running in our riding to help us make our decision. But I have rescheduled for October 10th, and I have invited the NDP party. I've sent another request to John Rustad's group, and also the Green Party. Those are the 3 that I know are running.
Earlier this morning at 6:30 a.m., PG Fire Rescue arrived on scene of an RV fire on Highway 97 South. Fortunately, no one was inside the trailer at the time of the fire. The structure was completely destroyed by the fire, but arriving crews quickly extinguished it. Investigators are currently working to determine the cause. Moving now to a very important announcement that pertains to our local area. It was an announcement that was out of the blue for many in the forestry sector. Local entrepreneur John Brink opted to announce plans to buy 4 Canfor mills, and recently he's taken the next steps in that process. Cheryl Jan has the latest in Brink's big plans to monopolize forestry in the north.
The plans by John Brink came only days after Canfor announced the closure of 2 more sawmills, one in Vanderhoof and the other in Fort St. John.
We will purchase Fort St. John, we will purchase Poland, we will purchase Plateau, and the tenure associated in Houston with the Houston sawmill.
Brink's intention is to buy 4 of the Canfor operations, all of which are closed or are about to.
We would take over the Polar sawmill and then the one in Fort St. John, the one in Vanderhoof, and the one in Houston, and being effective April the 1st, 2025.
And now he has made the next move in that endeavor.
And so we had interacting with Industrial Forest Service, Rob Schutz, probably recognized globally as one of the experts in that field. So we did the evaluation of it and then formalized it with the offer that came out yesterday, actually.
He says the next move has to come from Canfor and its shareholders, with a hope to have the answer by October 15th.
All is in their court, yeah. So we hope that before October the 15th, we'll get the word from them, and it lays out all the conditions and all the things about it.
Brink Forest Products has been in operation since 1975 as a secondary producer. And as a secondary producer, it relies on fiber from the primary producers like Canfor.
The problem for us always has been access to raw material and fiber. And so in particular, Canfor has been one of our main suppliers for all that period of time, and we worked with them very, very closely. Polar was a major operation to us to supply us with raw material for our value-added operations in Prince George.
With the pending closure of the Plateau Mill, the Nikosley First Nation was less than favourable in its comments about Canfor. The plight of the community has even caught the attention of the Premier at the Union of BC Municipalities.
I want to recognize one community in particular that has faced a really serious challenge around some, frankly, some tough decisions that were made by Canfor that impacted the community of Vanderhoof.
Pattison Media is owned by the Jim Pattison Group, a majority shareholder in Canfor. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
Now that fall has arrived, the weather has followed suit, with rain and cooler temps blanketing much of the region over the last few days. But even with the rain received, it's nowhere close to enough for what's needed to alleviate drought conditions. Adam Burles reporting.
Despite the wet conditions in Prince George over the last few days, severe drought conditions still exist in our region, with the Upper Fraser West Basin sitting at drought level 5, the highest and most severe classification. And dry spells like we had in August have not helped matters.
The month of August was exceptionally dry. We recorded only 7 millimeters of precipitation at the airport here in Prince George. So the month of August was actually quite dry. So overall, we're pretty much on track for the summertime precipitation.
While the monthly average for precipitation in the month of September is about 40 millimeters, Prince George has received around 30 so far this month. And while that precipitation is helping, it is nowhere near enough to alleviate drought conditions.
Reservoirs are still very, very low, and so we need a lot more precipitation to make up for those deficits that we've incurred. Prince George, I calculated over the last 2.5 years, we have a deficit of 450 millimeters of precipitation, and typically in Prince George we get 600 millimeters in 1 year. So there's still a large long-term deficit in water and soils and in our lakes reservoirs that we need to replenish.
The El Niño weather pattern is a naturally occurring climate pattern associated with the warming of the ocean surface temperatures in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. Well, that pattern has now dissipated, meaning we are likely to experience La Niña conditions starting this fall.
The forecast is looks like we're jumping into La Nina in September into the fall season. And there's right now a 71% chance that will be the case. We'll enter La Nina this fall, and a higher chance it will actually occur during the rest of the winter.
So what does a La Nina mean for Prince George?
For Prince George and other locations in northern British Columbia, typically that would mean below average air temperatures and above average precipitation. And if it's cooler than average, more than likely we'll get more snow, something we haven't experienced the last couple of winters, particularly in the winter of 2023, 2024, we had well below average snowfall in Prince George and parts of northern BC.
A higher snowpack leading into the spring can help replenish reservoirs, leaving the province better off heading into the summer in 2025. Adam Burles, CKPG News.
September 21st was World Alzheimer's Awareness Day, with approximately 750,000 Canadians living with the disease or another form of dementia. Sam Benison has more on this week's To Your Health.
And now To Your Health, brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
Dementia is a serious age-related illness, and people in northern BC face extra challenges. Researchers at CNC study those specific challenges that small and remote communities face, the first being a lack of education.
People did have some awareness about what dementia was and what was going on, but they still had some ideas that, for example, that dementia could be cured, and some people had ideas about how dementia developed, which was incorrect.
Dr. Ramu explains that when people think there is a cure, it focuses efforts away from preventing dementia in the first place.
What we can do is prevent the onset of dementia. So you might have genetic factors that might increase your risk of dementia, but you could modify your lifestyle to reduce the risk. And for example, daily physical exercise.
However, prevention comes with its own set of challenges in small communities.
So availability of fresh produce, availability of carbohydrates which are healthy, which also happen to be more expensive. So these kinds of things also affect these communities and our region a lot more than, let's say, somebody living in Vancouver.
And the lack of care homes means that those with dementia have a harder time staying in their communities.
We talk to people, for example, in First Nations communities, but also certain cities in the north like Fort St. James and Burns Lake and places like that, where they just don't have the facility to take care of patients who the family cannot take care of them. Their needs are such that they need full-time care, so they need to move down south.
In response to their research, CNC held workshops to improve dementia awareness.
We visited some First Nations, we invited people to Prince George and to our other satellite campuses in Quesnel, Mackenzie, Burns Lake and places like that. So there was a lot of positive response because we were increasing awareness in the community. Dementia is not an individual problem. It's a problem that affects our families, our brothers, our sisters, parents, grandparents. So it's a community issue. So even if you do everything right, you can still get diagnosed with dementia as you age. And therefore, the community has to be ready to take care of people who develop dementia.
Sam Benison, CKPG News.
To Your Health, brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is sitting at $1.54.9 cents per liter at Costco. The lowest price in the province right now is in Grand Forks at $1.47.9 cents per liter. Manitoba has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.29.7 cents per liter, while BC has an average price of $1.64.7 cents per liter.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
The UNBC men's Timberwolves basketball team is gearing up for their first preseason games of the season this coming weekend. Coming off of last year's historic finish that saw the T-Wolves secure the bronze medal in Canada West, UNBC is excited to hit the court and hopefully build off of last year. Now, there will be plenty of new faces with 8 freshmen, and the roster is only sporting 2 fourth-year players. While an adjustment period is expected for such a young team, both the vets and the rookies are confident they can keep the wins coming to hopefully match or even exceed last year's bronze medal finish.
We have not really like a lot of seniors, so it's not a lot of like super old guys. As a pretty young group of people, so we have like same interests, same like team bondings, and I would say we have a great team chemistry so far.
Obviously, there's been a lot of ups and downs. First year, there's a lot of things I need to adjust to, but for me, my motto is just to win the day. So just to be able to stack up those days within the rest of this time, I'll get better. So yeah, just anything that the team needs, energy, just being able to be there for them, and yeah, just anything they need.
Good evening again. We've got wet weather to talk about going forward, but we'll take you back from earlier today where it was a pretty nice one across much of the region and really the southern half of the province, especially heating up significantly in some areas. So yeah, a warm and pleasant one out there today for most people. But this system here is this frontal system right here. So it is spreading a lot of rain showers, of course, up the north coast as it was yesterday as well. And now we're going to see the shift come our way overnight tonight and particularly into our Wednesday. So you'll get a closer look on the future cast of what's happening. This is Wednesday, early morning, overnight, and then, yes, lots of precipitation over us for most of the day tomorrow. So we'll call it showers, a much cooler trend in terms of our temperatures as well tomorrow. And the southerly winds will be a little bit gusty, likely up to about 40 kilometers an hour. Nothing like the southern part of the province we'll see, though. The South Thompson especially dealing with some weather statements in place there in terms of thunderstorms and heavy winds, heavy rain and high winds. So a bit of an unsettled Wednesday down there, but we are definitely going to be in the path of that system coming forward. So expect it to be cloudy, cooler and rainy tomorrow. 11 degrees are high. That's a big difference from where we saw those temperatures get to today. And then there you go. We see lots of wet weather south of us as well, south coast included. So a very unsettled trend, and even east to Valemount looking a little cool and unsettled as well tomorrow. So 12 degrees Mackenzie. You do have clouds and showers in the forecast. Bit of a break here and there, Fort St. James. 11 and some heavier rainfall in Vanderhoof and for us as well. Down through Quesnel and McBride, a big difference in temperatures where we were into the mid-20s today and now dropping down to only 12 degrees for Quesnel tomorrow. West Coast will be a wet and cool one tomorrow, but as we go across into parts of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, look at that. The warmer, milder air definitely taking hold. In fact, summer looks like it's returning to some areas. 30 degrees in Regina, 25 with sunshine Winnipeg, and then further east feeling a little bit more like fall. 16 Montreal, 12 St. John's, and looking at lots of showers in those areas there. Some showers for us late week, so we do still have the potential for chances of showers into our Thursday as well, but really it's tomorrow that the main part of that organized system will be over us. But we'll leave some showers and rainfall in the forecast for Burns Lake going into Thursday. Tonight, rain and drizzle down to 4 and even colder overnight tomorrow. Below freezing is where you'll see that temperature drop to. Mackenzie, showers tonight, then a chance of showers through the morning hours. Bit of a break in the afternoon, but it's pretty unsettled right until you hit the weekend, and 9 degrees by Friday. So a much cooler pattern for sure. McBride 7 with overcast skies tonight. Showers late tonight. Cool and rainy tomorrow. Likely rainy throughout most of the day, if not all. And then that chance going into your Thursday, Friday as well. Cloudy, rainy, cool in Quesnel for Wednesday. Breezy into Thursday, but you will get some sunshine returning with just a slight chance of showers. So after tomorrow, it's just a slight chance into Thursday for us, and beyond that, looking nice and sunny. However, tonight and overnight and into tomorrow will be very unsettled. Rain, and we could even see some gustier winds, highs of only 11 degrees in our forecast. So a big drop in temperatures from where we've seen the temperatures get to, at least for today and for some of the past few days.
Yesterday featured a Monday Night Football doubleheader as the surging Buffalo Bills took on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we also had a young star showcase with the Cincinnati Bengals and Washington Commanders. And tonight, CKP3 brings you the biggest plays from Monday Night Football.
Jaden, the answer, Daniels, is looking more and more like a franchise QB with every game.
Guys on the field. They're down in 7. This one is launched from McLaurin. He's got it! Touchdown!
Daniels did it all against the Bengals, and the young rising star finally had the breakout game Washington fans were waiting for. This game-sealing touchdown as he got crunched is what franchise QBs are made of, and the rest of the NFL better watch out if Daniels and McLaurin keep this connection up. Not to be outdone, Jamar Chase also had something to prove.
Burrow airs it out. Chase! Hello! Touchdown, Cincinnati!
It's been a slow start to the year for Chase, but he always shows up when the lights are brightest. His 2 touchdowns and 118 yards led all receivers in the game. And while the Bengals didn't get the win, Jamar is showing he's still every bit the beast he's known to be. And speaking of beasts, Josh Allen.
It's over. Allen backs up, trying to create, scanning the end zone, delivers a strike along the back end line, caught for a touchdown by Dalton Kincaid.
Anyone who thought the Bills would drop off this year apparently forgot about someone named Josh Allen, who is looking like the MVP frontrunner this season. A 4-touchdown performance in a game where Allen commanded an unstoppable Bills offense will surely turn heads in tonight's CKP3.
That's all for tonight, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, Caden Fanshaw. He's up next with the Today Show. Tommy Osborne up at 6:30, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one.